The episode Creative Communications with Vinnie Potestivo is streaming now. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode. In this episode, I am joined by Vinnie Potestivo. Yes.
Ding.
Thank you for joining me, Vinnie.
That's right. You got the last, and by the way, a lot of syllables in my last name, so I really appreciate. Hey, I feel heard, and that's important. Podestivo doesn't roll a lot. Pasta vino, positivo, I get a lot. But either way, it's an honor to have my name and hear it, and it's great to see you again. We just got to spend
Yes,
some time together in real life
yes.
and connect. And
My
this is the
audience members who weren't aware, me and Vinnie have been trying to get this episode started for quite some time. There was some delay, which I'll explain in a separate episode, but
there was a tornado watch.
I mean, yes, there was a tornado watch, which initially canceled the episode, but we tried to schedule it way before the tornado. Again, I live in Florida, so I'm okay.
Yeah, you're okay.
It didn't hit my area. It hit more of the Newport, Richie, Siesta Key type areas. Don't quote me on that. I'm not entirely sure, but I know it didn't hit my area. Specifically more of the Florida type areas.
But
So
safety, you are safe. And Dion, this is my first podcast where I met you in real life, and then we're recording
oh,
afterwards. It's pretty cool.
oh
It's
yes.
cool to have like a friend who podcasts and then get to be on their podcast. This is a pretty cool thing for me. So thank you for having a podcast and being creative. And
That's true. That's true.
for so long as a creator, it's a very lonely process, especially at like a TV network like MTV or Bravo. It sounds lovely, but it's a job. There's exclusivity, there's security, there are gates. You know what I mean? It's where what we get to do now in podcasting and how we get to be creative and use that in communication is so cool. And it's so cool that we didn't even get to meet because of the recording. We met in real life, and now we're actually recording because of our connection in real life. That's really meaningful. So I appreciate that.
Of course. For those of you who need a catch up, I was very honored to attend a podcast conference called Podfest Expo, courtesy. See, I got the pin. Courtesy of Alex from Podmatch, and my beloved guest Vinnie has one as well. He was nice enough to be handing out tickets, and I was the chosen one. Star Wars analogy there. A lot of Star Wars analogies were used. I was the chosen one to be able to attend that conference, and I was just eating lunch. The Podfest Expo is a podcast conference in Orlando, which is not too far from where I'm from. So I was eating lunch. I was rushing to another session. I was like, what's an analogy, a sci-fi analogy on hyper speed or hyperjet or hyperdrive.
Yeah,
What
warp speed.
Yes, warp speed, yes. I wanted to mingle, but I also wanted to eat. I was trying to appear on another show that was happening at noon, but they were having a dance party, and as much as I love to dance, I just really wanted to eat. So I was sitting at like a Podmatch hangout that Alex sort of organized, which we can never find majority of the time. So I was eating and I was hearing Vinnie's name. I'm like, wait a minute. Didn't he try to be on my show? And I for some reason couldn't have him on because of my crazy life. I'm like, wait. And you kept talking and talking. I'm like, he looks familiar. And I had, because I said this with everyone because there was the Hoover app or whatever it was called that connected people who are attending
Yeah.
the conference. And I'm like, wait a minute. I know you. Hi.
Hi, friend. I know. Isn't that pretty neat?
But it was different with you because we actually previously communicated, And the fact that we were able to meet in person, like, yeah, I'm a real person. It was
Yeah.
like a real, genuine connection. I mean, we had that connection, but for it to actually happen in our recording, it's just
Yeah, it's
absolutely amazing. We
I
should have taken
actually
a picture, but you had like a speaking engagement at some point, even though we're rushing in the same direction. Um,
yeah.
how did that go? Since I wasn't able to attend that session, I
Oh
was
yeah, it was cool. It was my first. By the way, I'm like so overwhelmed with gratitude that we got to connect. Yeah, Alex, podcasters, podcasting as an industry, podcasting exists. We understand TV and film and the way it can be a creative medium. But the way that business owners are using podcasting as like a creative communication tool, like the way that podcasters fracture the economy, that in our group we have so many experts. I happen to come from like the public side of TV and talent development, from the public side, the same way I met some people who were in A&R at music labels, or accountants, dentists, doctors, people who are experts who can show me how to run a team maybe better that I never thought of because I was never exposed to team structure. Um, but what I wanted to comment on was, it was really cool to meet you and not have to look down at your name, to know your name, and to even know your podcast name, and to know that we're spending time enough, for
yes,
me at least, that I spend enough time on Podmatch that if you look at my iPhone usage, you'll see it in the like top one or two. It's like LinkedIn and then Podmatch usually, and then
yes,
Good Pods. I feel like the Podmatch community is a really special community of podcast hosts and guests. And as a guest, not as a host, not as anything I've done in my special career that makes me feel anything special about anything, but as a guest, I just get to show up as me. And I look at it as like Thanksgiving dinner. I prepare and I know the names. I got to know the kids and what sport everyone's in and or not in, and what's the talent, and what's my dessert, what am I bringing, but also I'm bringing a goodie bag because I want to bring some stuff home with me. It changes my experience, and getting to go to something like Pod Fest, where I got to meet so many pod matchers, was really cool to see some of my goals coming true. Because my goal is not to be a number one podcaster. My goal is, when I'm in a top spot in podcasting, I want to know the room. I love that about MTV. I got to start my job with like Beyonce, Mandy Moore,
yes,
and Jennifer Lopez and Ricky Martin, like crazy names that like um
amazing.
I that they were getting started the same time we were getting started, and that's kind of what I get to experience now with you specifically and other podcasters, because there was a point in time where people said reality TV is growing too fast. Are you afraid it's crowded market? And look at it now, and they say the same thing about podcasting.
That's true. I didn't get a chance to hit in on those particular sessions, but it was just so awesome to make all those connections and networking, and the fact that I recognized your name. I feel a lot of guest responses, and I feel really bad because there's probably 1,000 in like another planet waiting for me to get
Yeah.
them. Um, and just it was just so cool making that real life connection. And there was like another real life kind of connection as well. To someone who appeared on my show and I appeared on theirs. You
Cool.
could have met him. I am blanking on his name. I think he goes by Wiz, and the podcast is Stuck in Your Mind podcast. But it was just so cool. That whole experience was awesome. I have like stickers and notebook from
I have
everyone.
stickers. Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I love them.
but
I love it. It's kind of like it reminds me, those stickers in my book remind me of like my experience at the convention. Um, there's a part of you that's with me now. Our conversation, the experience of recognizing someone and connecting with them, and realizing that we had the power right then to do something about, to fix to close the gap on why we hadn't recorded yet. But isn't that cool that life needed us to meet each other in person to make that happen, and that we could do something? Like, I just think that's the power I think that I'm seeing in podcasting versus like the influencer market, where it's more about the creator economy of a post to post. But podcasters are really setting themselves up to be sources of story, not just storytellers. Storytellers are our guests, but what I see podcasters doing is being the source of stories. And when you're the source, that's a proven track record of having a point of view and having access and having output that allows you to have more visibility and more shareability. That leads to discoverability, right? If it's just more visible and it's not more shareable, then what's to discover? How could I discover you? If there's no piece for me to share, how could I possibly, share that? And I think that's what I like about, because like creative world that we're all in, and how we can use
Yeah.
podcasting as a creative communication tool the same way Jessica Simpson did in the early 2000s, probably before we were watching MTV,
I mean, I
where
saw
she
Newlyweds, so I know a
Newlyweds,
little
right?
bit.
Where everyone had an opinion about what a woman should do in the house, in a marriage, in the kitchen, what a woman's size should be as a singer, how much she should dance, how much she should sing. And what MTV did, I think that they got right, was they gave the cameras to Jessica and said, "Here's, we'll give you 30 minutes, not just 3 minutes for a music video." And what she gave us was something we all could, relate to, which was honesty and transparency. And in that, a whole different woman emerged that is a billionaire brand right now because of how, empowered she is and owning her own story. And like that's something we have control over by creating content, by being a guest, by creating these small pieces that we allow ourselves to share on social. And if you're listening to this, by the way, if you're listening to this podcast, my recommendation personally, and don't do what I do, but do it or else. Go to the 5-star reviews, right? Go to the 5-star reviews. Leave Dion a 5-star. Let this be the episode that gets you to the 5-star review point. And then what I'm going to beg you to do is take a photo, a snapshot of it, and share it with me
Yes.
on Instagram. Share it with Dion for sure. But like, copy me. I'm a whole long name, but like, go search through Dion's friends, and I'm in there. You'll find me that way, and tag me in it. Sharing is the largest action we can do. The best thing we can do is to share our experiences. So I appreciate the 5-star reviews for my friend Dion, but sharing and caring will actually lead to discoverability, and that's what we're looking for. So she can sustain the message, right? Like, so you can
Absolutely.
bring in the income to not have to worry about other ways, but to be able to sustain the message to make the impact you want on your terms. Because this ain't 1999. You're not waiting for a casting director like
No.
me to tap you on the shoulder at a concert and be like, "Now's your chance." You're like, "Yo, I got my chance, guy. Thank you. I got I have full control over my content." You want to know something you have that some of those celebrities don't? Content. They sell it. They sell it to the network. It's there. It's the networks. What you have here, this is the stuff that we're going to be able to bundle together as podcasters in the future and say, well, if you want it, then, we're all going to bundle together, and that's how we're going to monetize. And I see a whole future of how we can leverage intellectual property, specifically podcasting, because in my opinion, easier than anything video
Yeah.
exposed, and also it's distributed easier than television. Like, you just need a one-time connection to the internet to get the file. That's it. That's pretty powerful when you look at Wi-Fi access globally. So I get really excited and cheesed out about
Love this.
from a
So
from a creative communication perspective. And I've always don't know why I'm wired that way, but
I feel like I'm wired that way as well. I mean, before I got into podcasting, as a platform, as a medium, actually the year before, I want to say, obviously, I started in 2020. Like many other podcasters, I come to realize, at the convention, in 2019, I started doing spoken word videos, because I have a way with poetry, hence the word component.
cool.
Because I have a way with words. And I still do to this day, technically, since I have it as a title. So me getting into that particular creative aspect was kind of foreshadowing. I think that's the right word, foreshadowing the events that were to come. Um, Obviously, in 2020 is when I started the podcast, but me being diagnosed with diabetes is what led to that ultimate decision, which I can get into later. I seem to explain that a lot on my podcast, so I'm not gonna do too much of that. But so spoken word poetry, which in the first season of my podcast, I kind of explained that to a couple people. I think Alex, because he listened and he wasn't in a hurry. But for the first season of my show, I shared my poetry. scripture because I'm a Christian, and just that was basically the bulk of my first season, just sharing and then sharing the emotional meaning behind it to the best of my ability. To any new listeners, tune into this episode. Do not tune into the first season. I would not be crushed if you do not turn into the first season. The first season, I'm just like a duck who doesn't know how to swim. And in
Me
hindsight,
too.
I'm
I
not
can
the best
relate.
swimmer in general. I'm good with just swimming in the kiddie side of the pool. That's what mermaids are for, to be
When
the
all you need to do is stand up, and when the kid like he's think he's drowning, he's
yeah,
splashing, and all he needs
that's
to do is stand
exactly.
up, and
I feel like that.
I
I'm like
feel
that
that way.
person. But
I can relate.
so the creative aspect, obviously words being vocal, the video component which comes into play obviously here. And then the fact that I'm not studying anymore. My major in college was graphic design. So there's another creative component as well. The fact
Yeah.
that I'm good with technology. Technology is on my side because normally this conversation would have freeze at some point. So clearly they understand the power of storytelling at the core of it, hence not freezing. So poetry, graphics, the fact that I was able to create a dope cover art. I mean, it was on my business card, but I couldn't like show it off as much as I could. Although people were like, really, it's not on my phone right now, but they were like all happy with my phone.
Yeah. Never forget that feeling that you got to see them react to that
And it
in
was
real life.
just a
Never
regular,
forget that feeling.
I will never forget it. It was just a regular photo. It was winter. I don't even know if I was looking directly at the camera. I don't have a microphone. It was just a regular picture. Unfortunately, to
It's
those who
the
may
energy.
see
Isn't
this,
it the things we don't see that we do see? Isn't that the beauty in
yeah.
a photo or an image sometimes?
So I have my Podfest photo now as my lock screen. I think it's just as cool though because I have my which is hanging in my room. I might wear it later in a silly video. But yes, creativity as a whole is just so cool. The fact that I was able to use my expertise in like Photoshop and graphics, I was able to because the original photo is obviously in color with me wearing like a pink shirt, and then my father took the photo and made it red and like kind of grayed me out or something. And it was so cool how he did that. It was on like a little
Cool.
photo app thing. Because even and he's like a real source when it comes to source telling of any kind because he was a radio personality for WRXB right here in Florida many, 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 many moons ago.
So he knows a thing or two about audio, huh?
Yes, he knows a thing about audio. He even met Destiny's Child as well. He's like
Awesome.
he made a he made a name for himself.
Well, let's get him on this episode. Cut to that episode, right? Cut to his sound bites right now.
That would be cool. And now he's like a mental health licensed counselor. So
Yeah,
he is
important.
father like daughter in a way.
Yeah, really important. It's
So
insensitive, it sounds like, insensitive to the creative process, right? Like it's an emotional journey. It's not just turn on a camera and go. There's like a real breath system and vibe and the type of water, the temperature of the water, the music that I'm listening to, it all really matters. I got my start working at MTV, so I actually learned how to like get goals accomplished based on how long a music video was. So I'd be like, this is a 3-minute video. I'm gonna write one letter out to one person in 3 minutes, and I would have like these games because back then, well, you don't know, but the MTV used to play music videos, and before I got there, and or we got there in the late '90s, and so there was plenty of time to learn how to. And I remember just knowing where I needed to be and writing a letter, but that sense of an awareness of time helps me. Those boundaries, those small boundaries, help me stay positive minded. Setting small goals that are easily achievable as well as the large ones are just as important, and that's a way that I was able to find some self-confidence back then at MTV, where when I didn't know I didn't have it, where I was just looking to everyone else for validation because there was no social media, so I didn't get to have the likes
Right.
that, I had no positive affirmation other than my job would say, well done, Vin. Every year, here's a stage, good job. I had a very wonderful career at MTV, and I got to pay off my student loans. Come from a very low income family of at that point four. Um, I thought I thought 15, $20,000 was a tremendous amount of money. I thought I couldn't understand that most households are making 60, 70, 80, even 100. I couldn't imagine people in New York City making 150. I couldn't imagine that type of world. And my world was so small, but it's all that I knew. And I had so much confidence in it. So I was lucky to not have some of those criminalizing thoughts, so not criminalizing, marginalizing
Right.
thoughts, the ones that sort of make you smaller. That didn't happen until I was 40. And then I had am I doing the right thing? But I had to follow my intention, my gut. And I went back and I talked to my friends that got me here, and they gave me clarity on it. And it led me to new friends like you.
Awesome. So, I want to get to our question. Obviously, creativity, communication, all are interwoven and connected. Also, how we were able to do this episode. Um,
Yeah.
so I want to get to my question. I've been dying to ask this. Um, so obviously, you worked with MTV. How long would you say before I get to my question?
What?
From 1998 to
Oh, from 1998 to 2007.
2007.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a big
About
wide
10 years.
10 years. Okay, so that's a big dynamic, obviously. So would you say in that time span, or
Hmm.
even now, because MTV is still a pretty huge market,
Hmm.
um, would you say that it is still about the music or more about reality TV?
I would say that it's still about the audience.
Okay.
MTV is actually so I want to change the perspective a bit and say that it's all about the audience, and sometimes the audience cares more about music, sometimes they care more about stories and storytelling. I was at MTV in the late 90s, where MTV had been a music network for almost 19 years. It came out in 81. So like 17, 18, 19 years old it was when I started working there, with always just music videos, until the Osbournes, Newlyweds, and Punked, and those came out. And then Pimp My Ride and Yo Mama and all the dating shows that we used to do. So that Next, I think you mentioned earlier, which threw me back. Um, and what I would say is this: what I noticed about my time at MTV was I was lucky that kids ran home from school to watch us. I mean, you didn't do anything at 3:30 in 1999 but run home and watch what was happening in real time in Times Square. That was as live as people could get to celebrities, and that was the power MTV had with its relationship with its audience. So much so that Diddy would always swing by whenever we were live. Mariah would swing by and want to give out ice cream cone. They knew we were live from 3:30 to 4:30. They would announce things. They would break up. There would be big things that happened in that time because the world was watching. Um, so when I got there, I think that it was at a point in time where we started. So if MTV then was about cameras on the audience watching the artist, I think that's the kind of the point in time I got there. I think that what we did was give the camera to the artists like Ashton Kutcher and the Osbournes and Jessica and Wilmer and go on and on, and gave them the camera and said, all right, we trust you. We trusted you with 3 minutes. Now we trust you with 30 minutes. Now we trust you as storytellers. And the interesting part is when I left in '07, they took the cameras away from those celebrities and they were giving them to the actual audience members. So the Hills, Laguna Beach, Jersey Shore, all of a sudden it was no longer about the audience getting to see or be a part of the celebrity world, but it was more focused on the celebrity world. And that's when social media also simultaneously allowed people to, through the palm of their hands, not have to go to a channel like MTV, to a casting call and be told no because for whatever reason. And then, we all think, well, because I'm not this and I'm not that. And for all those reasons, that now we get to show up and own our content, by the way, let alone participate in it because of our smartphones, because of our iPhones. That's pretty powerful. So I loved being at MTV when the audience was there. Million, I mean, like, you don't understand. There was a point in time where we as TV executives would have this thing called Walter, WALTER. We all like to earn ratings, mandatory meeting, and we'd be like, our numbers are down. We're getting about like a 2.1, which was almost like a little over 2 million eyeballs on something in a day on a show. And it used to be, you can see that number going down lower, but you saw Kim Kardashian's Twitter numbers going higher. You saw, I forgot who it was on Facebook, but it was a person, not a brand. Maybe it was Paris Hilton, to be honest, who who kind of like set the tone, the rush to the first million on a Facebook group. So much so that when I left in '07, my first job was helping Macy's get to their first million followers on Facebook. That's how important growing your audience began. And I saw it, all those numbers from TV go down, and then all the other numbers in social media go up. And I'm very grateful to have worked with the Kardashians in the early years of
Awesome.
Twitter. Yeah, Kris Kardashian, she made me tens of thousands of dollars. I was real happy working with them back in those Twitter days.
What's so weird
Got to
about
help me buy a house and get out of student debt and like have live the life that, and have the career and be able to create the energy that I thrive on.
Okay, Vinny, we're at my favorite part of the show, which is the icebreaker segment. Yay!
Oh.
I should have a soundboard, man.
Yeah.
But I just
Ching.
see, why do I need a soundboard when I could just so I'll start with the question. You are an author. I realized that from your profile and the fact that you discussed it briefly throughout my rush eating to other people. So this question might come pretty easy to you. Um, oh, I noticed you're using a Shure mic.
I sure am.
I have to give them a shout out because they gave me some really cool, funny pictures.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Great people, great company. Very, very supportive.
Yes, yes. Okay, that's not the question, obviously, but cool, Mike. Because you're an author, this question might come easy to you. If you had to come up with a title right at this precise moment, cool art in the background and all, cool microphone, your Podmatch pin, which I don't have anything to put mine
Flex,
to.
flex, flex.
What would it be?
Uh, um, it would be called oh gosh, that's funny. I feel like I don't know I know the characters in my film, but I don't know, maybe it would say it would say filming in progress. With a danger mark next to it and says
Okay.
that says creativity is contagious, maybe. But coming out of the pandemic, I might not call it that because
Oh,
that might be triggering.
oh,
But that would be like what I would want it to feel like.
okay.
It is. A smile is as contagious as a yawn is, by the way. So now that I'm aware of that, and I know that's what it takes to bring more smiles into this world, I would focus on that.
Beautiful. So my title, it hasn't really changed. I kind of expressed this by attending some sessions to the best of my ability, which is Warrior for Change. I should have like hallmarked that on a t-shirt or something. So
Yeah, get
many
on it.
people
Put
at
it out there.
podcast
It's not
merch
too late. It's not
like
too
this
late
hat from Glassbox. I like they did not sponsor me to do that. By
yet.
the way.
Yet.
But
Plug.
yes. Yes, Glassbox took me up. But I feel like being a warrior for change really exemplifies my whole journey. Just to give you a beef a brief slightly interwoven behind the scenes look into my life. See, I love how I tied that in there. For the first 2 years of my life, I couldn't hear or talk. So, so it took me a while to be immersed into the MTV call.
Wow, yeah.
um, because obviously I have to be aware of hearing it in order to enjoy it. But so basically from the jump, I've been pretty different than most, and I had to overcome those struggles, ADHD. It really comforted me knowing that there were some people who are speaking that had ADHD. Like, okay, it's perfectly normal to have that and be a podcaster, clearly.
Yeah.
So, so those struggles, being diabetic in 2020, all of those factors, which are not the gloss and glamour people come to expect when they see the smile, but it just really exemplifies my life's journey, my mental health struggles, being on a creative platform such as this one, and just amplifies my voice and others people's voices specifically. Just this forum is creative but also therapeutic, I feel, for my listeners and new listeners, whoever tunes into this. 5 stars, woo. It just really represents who I am. Warrior for change, or basically the word specifically, was placed in my heart in 2020. I feel like God made that a calling in my life for a reason, and that's why I have this podcast. That's why I have this wonderful conversation with you, and that's why I'm so grateful for Podfest Expo, for us meeting, and
Yeah.
for Alex from Podmatch. You can see that on the camera. I'll have to tag him in the episode notes. Because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been able to attend my first conference, make all these connections, and for us to finally do this episode. So I'm really
Yeah.
grateful that everything is connected, and my life's title will not change. It's 2023. This is the first episode I've recorded in 2023, and I just realized that. Yes, it's never gonna change, and I feel like it can apply to anyone and even you.
Yeah, I agree, by the way. It's got legs, as they'd say in TV. It's got legs, which means it's built for a marathon, you know? It's not easy. And then once you build it, we have to nurture it and connect new audience members to it. And there's a lot of responsibility that comes with creating it. But I'll tell you what, it all starts in owning who you are, and to hear you be empowered and to know exactly what direction you're going in. I can't tell you how many of those celebrity names that we mentioned that sat down and we sat down one on one and said, I have no clue what direction to go in next. I can't tell you how many people I've had that conversation with. And it's a normal conversation. I asked myself that conversation, and I had that conversation with myself and one other person. That was a weird way of saying it. I had a conversation with someone. um, and, uh, and she changed my life. She's the one who told me, if you're good at databases, go out and do a casting notice, take out a casting notice and see what happens. By the way, I never even really say this much, but I'll tell you who that person was.
Okay.
I did a class called the Landmark Forum in New York, and the person who told me to do that was Robin Quivers, who is the producer on Howard Stern for
Oh,
bazillion years. And if it weren't for her telling me to do that, maybe even in passing, I think, but like I took it to heart and I went and did it, and then it launched a whole career for me. So I'm open for opportunities. I'm open to opportunities. Um, and that's why when anything worth having is worth the long haul. That's why if it took us meeting and being in the same room to look at each other's phones and finally lock in some time. I mean, that's what this is about, connection. Podmatch lets us have a connection. It's not just about booking an episode and
yes.
in and out of each other's lives. We're hopefully building a stronger community of podcasters there. And I wear the pin, we're wearing this pin, Podmatch, jokingly the entire time, by the way,
I,
because it's the cutest little button ever.
I
But if
want
you
to
got one, you
yeah,
got one.
I
And if you
do.
don't, you
You
got to
should
come to
get
the
it.
next convention to get it.
Yes.
That's it. And this has been fun, Dion. This has been fun.
Yes, on to the fun part, which we kind of spoiled, but we're still gonna do it.
Okay.
It's the icebreaker game.
Dun, 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 dun.
Um, so how it works is it's called song association. Hence
Okay.
your musical. background, MTV, music,
Yes.
limelight, Beyonce, hello. You should be good at
Okay.
this game.
Okay. You'd be
So,
surprised.
so
I know I worked at MTV. I only know like the clean lyrics to all the songs, by the way. It's true. I would be out at the clubs in the early 2000s. I'd hear a song. I'd be like, Jay-Z sings about what? What is this song about? What is I had no clue. I'm just
so
gonna dance this one. I'm just gonna dance. You guys sing it. I'll dance it. That would
no. I mean, as much as I would
I'm
love
ready. I'm
to
ready. Okay.
participate, this is about the guests, and I'm
Fun.
just laughable because I don't participate in this game
Oh,
technically.
great. Thanks. So it's just me. You throw out a word and I sing.
Yes, you sing it. It has
Okay.
to be an actual song in
Okay.
existence. You can't make it up. You can't replace hot dog with hamburger. Like you can't replace the words
Oh,
in
God
the
forbid.
song.
I would never.
No, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised.
Oh, really? People
Have
trying
to, yes. It
Okay,
can't
you're
be the name
scaring
of
me.
the artist like Franklin Popcorn or Hamilton Timberlake.
Gotcha.
It has to be
Gotcha.
the actual song. You actually have to try to sing it to some vocal capacity. You can't just say it. People have been
Okay.
okay with saying it. I'm
All
not
right, I'm
gonna
ready.
lie. But here's the funny part, and this is
Uh-oh. I
this,
thought that was what's the funny part?
you don't have the luxury of time. Not
Oh, great.
anymore. Since this is our second time doing this. Um, you have 15 seconds from the time I give you the word to sing it, rap it, yodel it. Someone actually has tried yodeling this song.
Oh, cool.
Some songs.
15 seconds of like silent I can be?
No, 15 seconds.
Oh.
Are you using your
Oh, okay.
capacity,
I
knowledge,
got to get it done in 15.
music
All right.
of
All
your
right.
brain to find some songs?
Okay.
And then if you mess up, I give you an example. So
Okay, perfect. Oh, that's very kind of you.
yes. So um because normally I would use words that my audience are familiar with, but technically you know them already. So we have to change it up. So
Okay.
see, this notebook is already helping me already.
Uh-oh.
So your first word is real.
Oh, okay. Real love. I'm searching for real love. Someone to calm my heart. Real love. I'm searching
I
for some
wasn't
real
thinking that.
love.
That counts. That counts.
Is,
Wow.
is this how it goes?
That is how it goes. I'm
All
pretty
right.
sure. I was
Sorry, y'all.
thinking of J Lo.
Oh yeah, that's I'm real and you're I don't even know those I don't even know that's like that's funny. That's like an MTV song in the background for me. That's
Yes,
funny.
that's so cool. Okay. Man, I gotta think of a harder one now.
Oh
You
no,
will
I thought this was
be-
gonna be easy and
I mean,
fun.
it's supposed to be easy and fun, but you'll be surprised how quickly the brain shuts
All
off.
right, I'm
Um,
experiencing it.
um, let me see if I can figure there. Were you at the How the Moon party at all?
Hmm.
Okay, okay. Hmm. I can't think of a song because I left at midnight. Ah, uh, mm, okay. I thought of one. Um, this might be cheating because I'm sure there's a song for this in every millennia. Or century. So the song or word is night.
Tonight, tonight, tonight. Oh, that's all right. This
Uh,
song gonna be tonight, tonight, tonight.
I don't know if that's gonna slide.
That's like the hook. Tonight,
This is the
maybe
part
it's the
where
night. Oh, when you will be here in my arms, waiting for tonight. Whoa, whoa.
okay, okay.
Is that a stretch? Waiting. Oh, that's waiting for tonight. Yeah, yeah.
Yep, yep. I was okay.
Was there
You
an easier option?
no.
A more obvious one?
You got it. Okay. All right. Turn. I mean, the thing is, we did this game already, and that's why I'm changing the words. Okay. All right. The last word of the round. We're not gonna do a bonus round unless
Okay.
I feel like it. All
Oh
right. The
gosh.
last word is step.
Step by step. Ooh, baby, gonna get to you, girl. Step one, one. We could have
All
lots
right.
of fun. Step two, two.
I
There's so
forgot
much we can
talking
do.
to.
Step three, three. It's just you and me.
So I was thinking.
You could not use this anywhere.
I was.
Only friends, man. Only
I
friends.
was thinking of that song. It's really cheesy. It's a theme song, but I never watched it.
There
Oh,
you go.
I watched
You know
it.
what? The best part about watching New Kids on the Block in concert, I actually went to the
I saw
theater and
that song too. That I
I
saw
thought to
that.
myself, "Oh man, I'm gonna go to the New Kids on the Block. I'm gonna be like the only. I'm gonna be the oldest guy there." And then I looked on stage and I wasn't. It's nice to see those guys who really created a space in music for a brotherhood like that. And obviously, there are so many other groups, boy groups, that I got to work with that at MTV. That just seeing that
Yeah.
relationship over time is ridiculous. But
Please
fun
name
times,
some.
fun times.
Name some you've worked with. Please.
Oh my. Well, don't
That's a
forget MTV, before Diddy did Making the Band with Danity Kane, it was called Making the Band, and that's where O-Town came from. So O-Town is one of the first. And actually in creating O-Town, there was a casting process, and one of the people who didn't get picked for one of the actors who didn't get picked for O-Town back then ended up having a really, really big career
Oh,
on a very big hit show called Glee. Actually, shout out to Maddie Fresh, Matthew Morrison. But it was actually Matthew Morrison and a couple other guys that didn't make O Town. They were in a boy band, a different boy band, Element, LMNT. It was called, and I'm showing, and we would all hang out, as they're moving around, and I'll never forget when Maddie got Hairspray, and then just really from Hairspray on Broadway really became a really, I mean, a dialed in performer. But those boy bands really gave me access to phenomenal people. Nick Lachey from 98 Degrees, all of 98 Degrees, help getting
did
to
you
work
know
with
he's
Joey.
running? I'm
What's
sorry
that?
to interrupt. Did you know he's running a dating show on Netflix, which is incredibly popular now?
That's awesome. Yeah, no, it doesn't surprise me because getting in front of the camera and getting people to do awesome things he's always been good at that, by the way. And Joey Fatone is too. Those two had a lot of fun. They were able to use their celebrity in a really fun, inclusive, unique way. I learned a lot from those people who had a lot of access. You know, I got to work with Rich Cronin, God rest his soul, but one of the boys from LFO. I don't know if you know,
I do. I
I
do.
like girls who wear Abercrombie and Fitch. Good, and that song, but she looks fly in the summer. In the summer, those I got to work with some really cool artists that showed me a lot of respect at a point in time where as a gay man, I didn't know where I fit in this world. And it was actors and athletes and artists who ultimately gave me the confidence to stand in my authority. Now I know well enough to find that on my own terms, and I no longer seek external validation to get there. But that's also why when I do my podcast, as I have a podcast, so I can go back and talk to all my friends that I know see the best part of me and I see the best part in them, and we've proven it over and over and year after year. And I had that career in television and it was unique. I think that everyone has the ability to have that type of career in podcasting because it's all about the people and how we connect with each other and what we do afterwards. So it's a really powerful tool. I cheese out, right? I geek out over this stuff, but
So do
I
I.
wouldn't even know I didn't even know what I was going to do when I was in college. I have like a business degree in theater management. I wanted to maybe like be a Broadway producer, maybe. I don't know. That's kind of like what I thought I would do. But back when I was in college, there was only 20 musicals and it was the same 20 musicals over and over again. Like they didn't even have Rent came out when I was in school and it was like, even that was like edgy for us. We're like, whoa, we got to sing crazy for you. Damn Yankees. I don't know, It's cool where theater is at now. It's resilient and it serves a whole different audience than it used to. It's really cool.
Hamilton.
Yeah.
I got,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Are you kidding? Hamilton? That's like that's
I
so
even
cool.
got Lin-Manuel. I didn't expect this. Because if you're a celebrity, I don't know if you even really interact with your fan base.
Sure you do.
'Cause
That's why you do it.
that's true. I was like, oh, maybe they have someone who just like works for them and says something inspirational and then sends it to the fans. I um but Lin Manuel Miranda actually messaged because I like emailed him like, oh, I love your work, I love In the Heights, I love Hamilton. He actually messaged me back or like sent me a postcard in the mail.
So cool.
And it was so awesome. It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
good guy.
keep doing what you're doing with your show, and it's so cool. And that like really made my day. Like that's so cool.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that he probably knows that. That's why he takes the time to do it. That's really important.
Yes. So we can keep talking about Hamilton all day long. Which is an awesome show, Disney Plus if you don't have it.
Yeah, what about Hot Seat for you? What's your favorite Hamilton song?
Ah, okay. Of course that was gonna happen on my show. For me, let me see. Do I have it on my phone? Again, I bought the rights to this music, so if Hamilton. Uh, Dang it, is it not gonna show? Favorite song. Of course, my phone's being weird. Hamilton. Okay, I have a couple, but I'm just gonna see if I can. I am shut. Away my shot. Anyone just swing my country. I'm young, scrappy, and hungry, and I'm not throwing away my shot. Okay, I'm not trying to play the whole song. But yeah, I was like kind of like singing that in my head during the convention because this is my
Yeah,
chance to make a name for myself and my show. So, um,
that's it. Hey, yo, I'm just like my country. I'm young, scrappy, and hungry.
me and my family watched that heavily
So
and
good. It
sing
was
it
so well
all
done, right?
the
So
time.
well done. I thought so
Yes,
too.
yes. And then In the Heights came and we would watch that and sing that.
Crying, hysterical. I wish New York was like that in the Heights. I wish.
My dad, and of course I'm gonna share my dad because he's just the awesome
Shout out.
on the universe. He was like born in like the Bronx and the projects, and so he understood like how like what's the drink, icy drink they call that? That's something I don't know now because I'm not from New York, but like he understood the neighborhood and the community and all that, and that's probably why he raised me and my sisters and brothers so right because just to be good
Yeah.
people. So
Yeah, well, God
um
bless. Yeah, same. I grew up in Staten Island, so I think we're drinking from the same well.
yes. And we can keep talking about the awesomeness of our families, but I don't want to
And
overdo
so it is. All good things must come to an end.
yes, yes. But before we end this fiesta of fun, please share with my audience about your book, your show. Just plug away. Um,
I'll keep it simple.
yeah,
Yeah, because this is something you brought up, and it's what brought us together. Podmatch, the platform. Imagine the best matchmaker that you've ever met, and now imagine that you're saying, "Well, I'm not single. I don't need a matchmaker." But as a podcaster, it just connects people to talk, and it allows us to collaborate in a really cool way. This is a little book I got to help write called Podmatch Guest Mastery. It's on Amazon. If you find me by chance in like the author section, connect with me as an author. That's my favorite place to connect on Amazon. Anything I talked about, I have on VPE.TV. So that's Victor Paul Edward, Vinnie Potestivo Entertainment, Verified Podcast Exchange, VPE.TV. And that'll get you to all the resources that I talked about. And if you just want to like say hi and what's up and just like be social, I'm on LinkedIn a lot and I do social audio hours there where we hold office hours and we just sort of do some body doubling and proxy work and just to sort of have community because I miss being able to walk down the hall and see all my friends. That was a benefit of working to MTV, but I work from home and I choose to, and I choose to work with people who are also out and about and making a big impact. So any way I can help make the content that you're creating elevate your impact and make more impact, then I am set up to help you. And I'm here as a servant to connect you to success. So I appreciate the space again.
Of course.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vinny. This was a wonderful episode. And I'm just so honored that someone of your caliber, your experience, taking an interest and appearing on my show. Truly, it was such an honor. And we talked some old school MTV, which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
I was a very little tyke when it came on, but still a popular medium and still to this day. So again, to my listeners, thank you for tuning in. If you want Vinny to do a bonus round because he kind of had the inside scoop into this game, let me know. You can find us wherever you listen to your podcast. New content is coming to the show. So just stay tuned for that. We will start showing on LinkedIn now.
Yes.
After some much needed advice from the Podfest Expo. We will try to branch out more on LinkedIn. I've used it as primarily a graphic designer because that's my profession. That's what I graduated with. But creativity as a whole can encompass so much more, and podcasting included. So again, thank you, Vinny. It's not coming to my head now.
Potestivo.
Potestivo, for joining me. It was such a pleasure. Again, to all of my audience, stay tuned for new content. After this conference, I know I got to step my game up a bit, and having Vinny on is just one of the many stepping points to making the show stand out. So until next time, bye. You just watched the latest episode, Words of Heart. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to the following platforms: Apple, Spotify, Google, Pandora, Good Pods, Podchaser, YouTube, and wherever you listen to your podcast. Until next time.